Inequality is a huge problem in our modern society. A select few control gargantuan proportions of the world's wealth. A 2018 report by Oxfam found that just 26 of the world's richest people own as much wealth as the poorest 50%. That means just 26 people control the same amount of wealth as 3,850,000,000 people. But despite the shocking inequality we see today, it used to be far worse. Modern billionaires pale in comparison to some of history's wealthiest individuals, from African kings to oil barons. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the 10 richest people ever to live. Number 10. Henry Ford, $200 billion. Born July 30th, 1863, Henry Ford was an American industrialist and business magnate who was the founder of the Ford Motor Company. He was a pioneer in sponsoring the development of the assembly line technique of mass production. Although Ford did not invent the car or the assembly line, he did develop and manufacture the first car that was affordable to middle-class Americans. His idea to sell cars to the masses helped him acquire a fortune that would be worth around $200 billion today. Number 9. Moammar Ghadafi, $200 billion. Moammar Mohammed Abu Minyar al-Gaddafi, or more commonly known as just Colonel Gaddafi, was born in 1942. He was a Libyan revolutionary, politician and political theorist who governed Libya with an iron fist from September 1969 to October 2011. Official estimates say that Gaddafi managed to funnel around $200 billion into his personal secret bank accounts and offshore investments. All of this money was stolen from Libya's massive oil revenues. Number 8. William the Conqueror, $209 billion. William I was born in Normandy around the year 1028. He was the first Norman king of England, reigning from 1066 until his death in 1087. During William's conquest, he seized lands and plundered a great many treasures, helping him to amass quite the fortune. It is estimated that William the Conqueror had a peak net worth of somewhere between $209 and $220 billion in today's money, making him one very wealthy king. Number 7. Jacob Fuga, $221 billion. Jacob Fuga is a relatively obscure historical figure compared to many that can be found on this list. Born on the 6th of March, 1459, Jacob Fuga was a German merchant, mining entrepreneur and banker. He was Europe's richest man during the early part of the 16th century. His immense wealth, which equates to around $221 billion in today's modern money, enabled him to have great influence over the politics of his day. He helped to fund the rise of the Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian I, as well as bankrolling King Charles V of Spain. Now, before we move on, I want to know what you would do if you had this much money. Would you solve climate change, eradicate world hunger, or just buy everyone a motorbike? Let me know in the comments what you would do. I can't wait to read your replies. Number 6. Mir Osman Ali Khan, $230 billion. More formally known as His Exalted Highness Nawab Sir Osman Ali Khan Siddiqui Asif Jah VII, was born on 1886 and was the ruler of the Hyderabad state in India from 1911 to 1948. Khan possessed such enormous wealth that in 1937 he was titled the world's richest man by Time magazine. Experts estimate that at his peak net worth he had a fortune equivalent to 2% of the entire US economy at the time. He had one of the largest and most expensive collections of jewels in the world. Part of his collection included the Jacob Diamond, which is one of the single largest diamonds ever found, with an estimated value of over $130 million. Number 5. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, $300 billion. Born 1868, Nicholas II, also known in the Russian Orthodox Church as St. Nicholas the Passion Bearer, was the last emperor of Russia, ruling from the 1st of November 1894 until his forced abdication on the 15th of March, 1917. His reign saw the fall of the Russian Empire, ultimately leading to the rise of the Soviet Union. During his rule as emperor of all of the Russias, he commanded a vast level of wealth and resources. His fortune was estimated to be around $300 billion in today's money at its peak. Number 4. Andrew Carnegie, $372 billion. Born 1835, Andrew Carnegie was a Scottish-American industrialist, business magnate, and philanthropist. He led the expansion of the American steel industry in the late 19th century and became one of the richest Americans in history. Carnegie devoted the later years of his life to philanthropy, giving away a huge majority of his money to charity. At his peak, Andrew Carnegie amassed a personal fortune economists estimate would be around $372 billion in today's money. Number 3. John D Rockefeller, $409 billion. John Davison Rockefeller, born 8th of July 1839, was an American business magnate and philanthropist who is widely considered to be the wealthiest American of all time and the richest person to live in modern society. Rockefeller founded the Standard Oil Company in 1870. His wealth soared as kerosene and gasoline grew in importance, ultimately making him the richest man in America. At his peak, Standard Oil controlled around 90% of all oil production in the United States. In 1911, the Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil must be dismantled for violation of federal antitrust laws. It was broken up into 34 separate entities, which included companies that became ExxonMobil and Chevron. It turned out the individual entities were actually worth more on their own than together as Standard Oil. This led to an enormous increase in Rockefeller's wealth, as he was still the largest stakeholder in many of the newly created companies. When adjusted to today's money, it is estimated that John D. Rockefeller had a peak net worth of around $409 billion. Number 2. Mansa Musa, $450 billion. Mansa Musa, otherwise known as Musa I of Mali, was the Sultan of the wealthy West African Islamic Mali Empire. Born around 1280, Mansa Musa reigned the Mali Empire between 1312 and 1337. During his rule, it is said that Mali was one of the largest producers of gold in the world. Many claim his wealth was so vast and he controlled so many riches that putting an accurate number on it would be near impossible. But one historian has roughly estimated his peak net worth to be around $450 billion in today's money. Obviously, we don't know the exact figure, but he was without a doubt one of the richest people ever to live. Number 1. Augustus Caesar, $4.5 trillion. Born 23rd of September 63 BC, Gaius Octavius, or more commonly known as Augustus Caesar, was a Roman statesman and military leader who became the first emperor of the Roman Empire, reigning from 27 BC until his death at the age of 75 in AD 14. Although Augustus Caesar did not personally own $4.5 trillion of assets, he retained full autocratic power over the entire republic as a military dictator, which effectively gave him unlimited access to all the resources and capital of the Roman Empire. Augustus Caesar has an enduring legacy as one of the most effective and controversial leaders in human history. He laid the foundations of a regime that lasted in one form or another for nearly 1,500 years. And finally, a little fact that the month of August is actually named after Augustus Caesar. So even today, in our modern society, he still plays a small role. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and comment down below what you would do if you ever had this much money. Thanks for watching.